I love indie games. If there's one thing that gets me excited when looking for new and unique upcoming games online, it's playing something that's full of life, charm, and full of love, no matter how simple or complicated the final result is. That's why I'm excited to introduce you all to Hoptop, the fun quirks of this game, and how the designer of this game... Oh wait, where did he... Yeah, I deserve that. Now on with the show. You see, Hoptop's creation was led by Heraga and made by Team Miracle. And you know what? It is a miracle because I had absolutely no idea these guys existed until a few weeks ago. And that's a real shame because Hoptop is this team's debut game for the world, featuring the kind of love and polish you'd swear come from an established company like Namco. Alright, let's pause for a sec. When I review games, I like to tell stories not just about how cool the game is, but also about the people behind it, because it really means a lot to me. I feel like these days it's too easy to just point at an indie game and go, wow, that's cool, but completely forget the indie part, which is the people behind it and the hard work that often goes overlooked. So throughout this video, I'll be referencing and paraphrasing a rather in-depth thread from Heraga's Twitter account about the creation and development of this game to help add context. Also, additional side note, can we please get this team some attention online? They barely have any subscribers. Their main channel has barely any views. Guys, please go to their channel, subscribe, like, leave some comments or something. I can't bear to see them be overlooked like this. Now, where was I?
Hoptop has his DNA spread in a lot of places. Some people haven't considered, such as his nature being evocative of a certain title from 1983. While some inspirations are on its sleeve, the game takes from a wide array of sources.
Now, before you say what's on your mind, I'm gonna stop you right there. Yes, this looks like the love child of Doodle Jump and Galaga.
You're pregnant.
But while the obvious can be said, it doesn't do it justice until you've actually played it.
The eventual base gameplay shares some slight movement similarities with the likes of a certain mobile game, yes, but it was the other game I cited above that truly laid the groundwork.
Now, while they don't explicitly mention the game from '83 that laid the groundwork for Hoptop, after doing some research, I'm led to believe the inspiration may have come from a number of different sources until I get a concrete answer. Also, speaking of Namco earlier, if you're a freak like me, you can smell the love coming off this game a mile away, because this game mimics the Namco Classic Collection style. Now, normally I try not to compare games to other games as I'd like to acknowledge which makes it unique, but this is one of those if you know type design choices that makes me look at the developers and say, hey, I see what you did there.
A certain famous company did this to several of their famous 80s titles around that time, of which we used that as a template for how our game should be. Many caught on instantly, as expected, but that's not what the game is ultimately.
That certain famous company is obviously Namco and their arrangement games, but while the game takes elements from it, this still stands on its own for reasons I'll get into later. Simply put, for those that don't know, and I'll be doing a full review of this in the future, Namco Classic Collection was a special arcade cabinet that housed remade games with a new coat of paint that are dubbed as arrangement versions. But they also included the original games too, so you could play both for yourself. So what does that have to do with Hoptop? Well, it does all of this and then some. From the initial menu to the background and graphics, it's a unique experience that feels like a truly lost game brought to the modern era, and Hoptop mimics this style to a T, making me feel like I'm 10 again. But yes, simply put, Hoptop is a platformer shmup hybrid leading to a very unique gameplay style you won't forget. If you haven't gathered from the gameplay already, it's gonna be easy to play, but hard to master. Right off the bat, we get 3 game modes to choose from, which are Arcade, Campaign, and Endless Mode. Now, based on the development notes, it seems Heraga didn't want to make an 80s styled game right off the bat, but did so anyway so that the game could have a proper mid-90s arrangement styled remake, which we'll get into briefly.
As mentioned, I had no interest in making an 80s arcade game. So, from the get-go, I figured the best way to have my cake and eat it too would be to instead reimagine that potential 80s game as a mid-90s remake.
With that in mind, we get to the arcade version of Hoptop. The simplistic visuals, music, and gameplay loop make it feel like a perfect game set in '83.
Arcade games are deceptively simple to make. The first is in its mechanics. You can have a fun and cool idea in your head all you want, but if you design it and it doesn't feel like an arcade game, it never will. There is a simplicity involved that is very hard to get right.
So far, this is my best run, and I want to know what the theoretical end could be. Will the game end at level 256? Who knows? But this feels authentic in every way, and I have zero complaints. Not to mention, it doesn't just emulate the arcade feel, it plays and feels genuine. Alright, now how do I put this without sounding like a jerk? I guess the best way to explain my point of view is with some examples and developer notes, because while it's easy to make a game that looks like it's arcade styled, it's another thing to actually commit and work within those limitations to make a game with a compelling loop that doesn't feel like a cheap, janky, or overly complicated.
A lot of developers tend to make arcade-style games, but put their own modern perspective into it. This has bothered me for a long time, but it's a pure personal gripe. I'm a very uncompromising developer. I strive for absolute in everything I make. The arcade mode in Hoptop is my attempt at doing this truly the way one would back then. The second is in its design. There have been plenty of attempts at making arcade games in the past, but all of them heavily take from a few certain popular titles from the 80s and nothing more.
Now, this is my opinion, and there are plenty of gray areas, but to me, classic arcade games are a lot more nuanced than its gameplay. Games like Pac-Man, Mario Bros, and other games from this era have a distinct binary action where every jump was locked, climbing a ladder was a slow, deliberate process, and reaching every platform felt like an obstacle in of itself. And learning how to get further into the game was earned via trial and error. Sure, there were plenty of copycats, but you can't deny that every arcade game back in the day has a very distinct feel to it.
To me, an arcade game is something that is effectively a single screen and utilizes one button and movement. The gameplay needs to be simple and intuitive to understand across any language barrier. This sounds simple, but making something fun with this specification is hard.
Contrast this with modern arcade games that takes notes from newer game mechanics like having coyote time to make platforming easier and less frustrating, or the ability to control yourself in midair to correct a jump. The omission or inclusion of these mechanics doesn't make a game better or worse, but in the case for Hoptop, I can say it nestles comfortably in the classic category due to how demanding and somewhat unforgiving it is, forcing you to learn its mechanics and gimmicks rather than the game trying to imitate what's come before. As Heraga said in the thread,
as a developer, I feel as though I can only make what is new. I have no desire to make what others have made already. They made it already. Why should I? I want to put my own spin on whatever I make.
Campaign mode, in my opinion, is the main mode mimicking the arrangement style the most, with a fixed number of stages and definitive ending. This is where all the components of the game really shine, with its music, art, and gimmicks on full display. Also, I went through the pain of going for a 1cc run to prove how much I love this game. We got it. 1cc clear. Now I can officially say I enjoyed the game properly, now that I beat it as intended. So that's where all this footage is coming from, if you want to see it. The plot is as simple as the game is fun. Hop has lost his wings and must ascend the tower to get them back. You what? The first stage, Zen Garden, features a lush environment full of bamboo, waterfalls, and looks like something from medieval times.
Most of the enemies were first spotted by me and then continued to be fleshed out by Nick before being polished by Josh. The same went for the music too. The feudal direction still lives on though in the theme of stage 1, but I'm happier with the direction we went in.
Another thing you'll notice is how well the theming plays into each stage. For example, every stage has its own variant of solid, breakable, and gimmick platforms that will take plenty of getting used to if you want to win. One thing I forgot to mention is how the unique enemy types need to be closely observed if you want to last at all in this game. Much like how the Galaga or any other enemy in a vertical shooter will have certain behavioral types, that applies to Hoptop's enemies too. And believe me, some of these guys suck to deal with. Eenie is the blue bugger, which resembles a fly. They shoot at you once and then fly in an arc to dive bomb at you. What? Meanie is the yellow one that looks the most like a bee. To my knowledge, they don't shoot, but rather will swarm you, opting to home in on your direction. Miney is the one that looks like a dragonfly, and is a pretty big threat, but still manageable with them shooting at you, then flying in a wide oval pattern, which can be hard to shoot at. Woo! 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 And then there's Mo, which, I'm gonna be real, I have no idea what it is. Kinda looks like a flask or a beaker, but either way, this guy sucks. Mo's specialty is actually much more deceptively tame than the others, because once they spawn, they don't shoot at you or chase you. Rather, they fly up, then loop back under the screen. Now, you may think, well, that's not so bad, they don't move anywhere. And that's true, but where the evil lies is how most of the time they're put near the edge of the screen, and since you have to be mindful of where you jump in addition to shooting, you'll get into situations like this, where it becomes near impossible to get a shot in. It's a skill issue on my part, but if you see these guys, please, for the love of God, take them out on sight. Then there's Tiger, who only shows up if you take too long to clear a round. and believe me, you don't want to mess with whatever this thing is. Now's probably a good time to bring up how the power-ups in Hoptop work too. There are a total of 3 that may seem quite minor but play a huge part in getting into the later stages, even if they only last a few seconds. First up is Hop's iconic wide shot, which makes a return from this first arcade game. As the name implies, you now shoot twice as many flowers in a wide angle, but now are exposed directly from the top. Next up is Hop's rocket launcher, which shoots larger projectiles that explode on contact and take out anything near it, which is the best for large groups. Then lastly, there's Hop's homing shot, which is my favorite of the 3, automatically seeking out the closest bug, and I find this works really well when trying to avoid mows. Stage 2, Ski Mountain, is your traditional snow-themed stage with a log cabin, festive lights, and plenty of snow. If anything, I find this stage to be on the easier side since this one doesn't have any particular dangerous gimmicks, since the ice doesn't make you slip. However, I do tend to lose track of the projectiles as the snow kinda blends in at times. Stage 3, Toy Box Land, feels so random but in a good way, reminding me of something akin to Pac-Man Arrangement or Mania with its toy block themed stages. This stage is exactly what it is, an oversized toy box complete with plenty of blocks to jump on and a fun colorful environment to boot. The standout gimmick here for me is the numbered platforms that have to be jumped on in numbered order for the next one to activate. And it has the best music in my opinion too. It's got a real cheery, playful vibe that has become a bit of an earworm for me. Stage 4 is Old Clock Tower and gives me vibes from Metropolis Zone from Sonic or Clockwork Tower from Monkey Ball 2, featuring tons of gears, brass, and copper. Depending on your RNG, this is definitely one of the harder stages to do consistently. Maybe it's a skill issue, but the platforms that flip downwards have a weirdly specific timing to the point that if your hopping is off, you will always fall through. No! Platforms, please, please work with me. Please. Regardless, I love the themes and the vibe of this stage so much. So after all the non-stop hopping, we finally made it to the boss. And before I show you anything, this is your final warning for spoilers. The game is quite cheap, and personally, I think it's worth the price of admission if you want to experience this for yourself. So skip ahead here if you want to avoid spoilers. Alright, they gone? Good. So here it is, we finally did it. The one responsible for sending swarms of bugs our way. The one who made us hop countless flights of stairs. The one who stole our wings. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the one and the only Insect Queen! Gotcha, you bum. Let's go. Like any good game, there is a final boss fight. And honestly, this is pretty well made and works well within the limitations. The Insect Queen will fly around the screen, spawn nodes, platforms, and dash towards you in an effort to knock your flightless butt off stage. However, my favorite part about this boss fight is not the fight itself, but honestly, the amount of references it's packing. In case you haven't noticed by now, the intro features the Kefka laugh from Final Fantasy. And the Insect Queen is a blatant parody of Freddie Mercury, aka Queen, complete with the stash, pose, and killer moves. However, it goes even deeper. Something felt familiar when I heard the boss theme, and sure enough, after checking with my buddy Rixer, it turns out that the boss theme takes inspiration from 2 different songs, that being from Killer Queen and Bohemian Rhapsody. There were probably some other references in there I missed, but those were the ones that stood out to me the most, and honestly, I really love this. So after blasting them with Hop's flower power, we have finally defeated the Insect Queen and gotten our wings back.
Mama!
We got him! Yes! It's done! Oh my god. We did it, guys! Oh! And that ends the campaign mode for Hoptop. Honestly, I was probably on maybe my 20th attempt at trying to get a 1cc run for this game, just for the sake of this video. And it really did pay off at the end, because it feels truly rewarding when you finally do make it through here, as intended. But yeah, when you beat the game, you get this beautiful credit sequence, the roll call of all the characters that played a part, and you just get to bask in your glory. Okay, and the spoilers are over. And that's the end of Hoptop's campaign mode. Honestly, I feel like I've simultaneously said too little and too much about this game. And while 10 seconds of gameplay is all you need to understand the core gameplay loop, I'm still taken away by Team Miracle's dedication and hard work put into something that only took a few weeks to make. Some weird things or bugs that I forgot to note is this one meanie that refused to die after getting shots in on it, and the only way it died was after getting a power-up. But you can clearly see I shot it here. Oh my god, bro. Stop shooting! I can't get, oh my god, move. Stop zooming around! Oh my god, dude, die already! This guy sucks! I can't get rid of this last one! It's this one little bugger! Die already! Why can't I kill it? It's not dying! It has to be bugged. Wait, I did shoot it! It's not dying! It's just not dying! Oh my god! The next instance was me falling through this tiny moving platform, and even upon playback, I think I was still robbed. Maybe it's a skill issue, but I was completely robbed here. God dang, who put up what? God dang, who put up what? This platform's imaginable. I fell?
You missed.
How'd I miss? This game. I'm going through. I went right through it. Okay. Now this is less of a bug and more of some obscure tech, but you know how typically if a platform is off screen you can't jump on it? Well, for some reason the spike platforms that flip are still capable of being hopped on if it's off screen by one level, which is not something you'll need but is a lifesaver when in a pinch. And one final bit of cool tech once again has to do with the spiked platforms that flip. Normally you'll die if you jump on the spiked side, but if you jump on the platform at a weird angle on the side, you can still jump off it. Again, it's very situational, but helpful should you find yourself stuck between a spike and a hard place. Now, while the RNG of the platform locations can be quite infuriating, it does lend itself to every playthrough feeling like a unique challenge, and despite getting some unfortunate spawn placements, I still love the decision of all the platforms randomly showing up. The last part I haven't even covered is endless mode, but it's honestly what you'd expect. You can choose one of 4 stages and hop endlessly to your heart's content. However, I will say I do wish the 5th stage, where you fight the final boss, had an option of sort. The hard work put into the visuals here would at least be nice to unlock if you beat the campaign mode. One cool bit of info I found while reading through Heraga's development thread was seeing what the original game was going to be before pivoting over to the platformer we have now.
The original idea for the game was a lot different than what you see here. Originally, I envisioned an underwater multi-directional shmup where the player, a squid, would grapple onto bubbles to change direction and shoot enemies. Development on this version actually got rather far. I had drawn all the graphics, the music was composed, and the rudimentary gameplay was completed. However, when the first playable demo was sent to me, it wasn't fun. This is sort of what I meant with the above. A game can look cool in your head, but be abysmal on paper.
And you want to know the craziest thing about this game I haven't told you yet? Well, I was only telling you half the truth when I said Hoptop was Team Miracle's debut game. You see, Hoptop was actually made during the Kickstarter development of another game Miracle was making, and that would be the super ambitious and beautifully made game that is Dreamshot Fantasia. This is Team Miracle's next big game that's been in development for a while, and once again, I missed the freaking Kickstarter by 2 years! Oof.
I should mention that Dreamshot Fantasia is back in active development following the Kickstarter period. Most of Hoptop was actually made in the weeks where I was simply waiting for the Kickstarter to process.
It reached its funding, but I wish I knew of it sooner because this looked like such a gorgeous game to be part of. So, quick side note, wishlist the game or buy it when it comes out because this honestly looks amazing. Please, guys, let me in. I wanna back the game. Anywho, back to Hoptop. Looking towards the end of the thread, we get a very personal side of the development process I feel more people should learn to empathize with. Also, I hope Heraga won't mind if I show off this part of the thread, because I feel it's really important to understanding that this and many other developers' games are more than happy fun side projects that are all sunshine and rainbows.
Developing Hoptop was frankly one of the worst experiences of my life for reasons outside of the game. I went through a lot of hardship, a lot of pain, a lot of doubt, and a lot of mental torture that I'm still reeling from. Hoptop is important for me specifically. I took the minority of money and tried to give as much of it to my peers as possible. It was the right thing in my mind.
Production lagged about a week behind what I wanted, and I am truly sorry for my team in putting them in that position. The last week of production was especially stressful. I was barely sleeping all of last month, but in the last week, I think I slept a combined total of 3 hours.
This project, though, is solely to support me. If you buy this game, you'll be allowing me to continue to make games. One of the few things I'd like to think I'm good at.
And now this next quote from Heraga honestly really resonates with me because it's something I achieved for. Unlike many of my other projects, I think Hoptop is the closest to what I wanted realized. I'm proud of it. I hope you, the person reading this, is too. Know that it was made under intense conditions physically and psychologically that I want no one to ever go through. It is the product of my ever-shifting hellscape of a life, and it is fully and encompassingly me. I put my all in it. There were still a lot of minor details and key figures who went into making this game, such as Liz, who apparently funded this game herself, but I'll save that for those who want more information in the description via the full thread. When checking out Hoptop's Bandcamp page, Miracle calls themselves a unique collective of developers dedicating to creating games that resonate with the mind and heart. And you know what? I can definitely agree with that. As someone that loves arcade games with simple fun controls and made by passionate devs that truly want the best, I can say that this will stick with me for a long time. You have to remember that giving up is not an option, and if you believe in what you want to create, that it will come to fruition as long as you fight for it. And that's exactly what this team did. So to Heraga and Team Miracle, thank you so much for making this little game with so much love put behind it. I hope your team gets the recognition it deserves when it comes to Dreamshot, and all your future games can retain the same amount of love, because I'll be on the lookout for it. Much like Team Miracle and their dedication to creating things that can resonate with people and has meaning, I only like to cover things I genuinely love when it comes to games. My videos are meticulously edited during my free time, and while time and attention spans are a rare commodity these days, I thank you, the viewer, for watching to the end. I feel extremely cringe for saying this, but if you like the video, maybe subscribe or hype it with whatever new gimmicks YouTube has these days. Thanks to my Ko-fi and Patreon members for keeping the dream alive, and remember, stay foxy.